Hello, hello. So today I want to pose the question, what should you drink in a bar or a restaurant or at a social occasion when you are alcohol free? In a minute I'm going to talk about a story related to this, related to some poor choices that I made. But first of all, well, two things. I just wanted to remind you about the free training for male entrepreneurs, male businessmen and male professional. StayOffBooze.com. Go there for my free training about how to stay off booze. Next, I want to tell you what I personally drink when I'm out and about, and that is quite simply a pint of soda water with ice and fresh lime. Now in the UK, if you order this in a pub, it's often free or it just costs about 50p, so there is that advantage to it as well. Elsewhere in the US, you could try mineral water with ice and fresh lime. Now it's really refreshing. It's got a really nice edge to it and it will quench your thirst, and I absolutely love it. So please go and try it. Now I want to talk about when I gave up drinking. Not long after I'd gone alcohol free, I went to a 40th birthday party at a bar. It was perhaps one of the first occasions when I was alcohol free, when I was going out for a big night out, and I decided to drink Coca-Cola. And basically I drank Coca-Cola in the same way that you would drink beer. So in a way I was sort of after that sugary hit, that sort of caffeine hit, and I wanted to have something in my hand all night because I was used to that, and maybe I felt a bit anxious without that. And also I wanted to drink a pint. So basically I had pint after pint after pint of Coca-Cola. So I must have had about 7 or 8 pints of Coca-Cola. Now, why was this a bad idea? This was a bad idea because, well, first of all, I felt like shit. I felt really full up. I felt really edgy because, of all the caffeine that I'd drunk. And the next morning, to be honest, I woke up. I didn't have a hangover, obviously, but I sort of felt a little bit sick, and certainly sick at the thought of it. So why would you drink all that Coca-Cola? That's not natural. So we already know it's kind of not natural to drink pint after pint after pint of beer, and that you wouldn't do with that with water, and it's the same for Coca-Cola. So basically I consumed a massive amount of empty calories. I spent a load of money in it. I gave myself loads of nasty sugar, and it was not great. So you've got to be very careful about what you choose to drink. Similarly, I always steered away from alcohol-free beer because I sort of couldn't see the point of it. But a few years after I went alcohol-free, I decided to drink some alcohol beer. I went to a very smart pub up in London with a couple of mates, and I decided to try this beer called Nanny State. It was up at a bar called Brewdog up in Soho, and I tried the first half and it tasted just like beer. It was basically beer without the alcohol, and I liked it. I got a taste for it. I had one, then I had another one, then I had another one, and it was just like drinking real beer used to be for me, in that I could never just have one. I just had the taste for it. I wanted to keep going with it. And that for me was not good. And in fact, it made me worry that I was going to go and then have another beer because it was just like drinking beer. Anyway, the day after, if you can believe this, even though there was no alcohol in it, I woke up feeling like shit. It was almost like a hangover. In actual fact, that day I also developed man flu. So I feel that there's something in beer, whether it's got alcohol in it or not, that does not agree with me. It gave me a bad tummy, it made me feel awful the day after, and I did not enjoy it. So for all these reasons, I highly recommend that you do not get involved in substitutes for alcohol, be that alcohol-free beer, alcohol-free wine, sugar, Coke, all that stuff. And just remember, just because you're used to having a glass in your hand all night, that doesn't mean that when you go alcohol-free that you should always be drinking something, always be buying something. So my top tip is soda water with ice and fresh lime. Have a couple of those, see how you feel, and remember, if someone offers you a drink or there's another round going, you can actually sit there without having a drink in your hand. You don't need to drink in your hand. So in terms of substitutes, so you could substitute your 8 pints of beer for 8 pints of Coke, or you could substitute your beer for 8 pints of non-alcoholic beer. And I'm going to talk in other videos about why I think that substitutes are bad, but for now, look at it like this. Imagine that you had a toxic friend who was not serving you at all, who was making you unhappy. Imagine if you decided to cut that person out of your life because of all those reasons. Imagine then looking to find someone else who was also toxic, who also made you feel like shit, who also said all the wrong things, who also would let you down. So imagine giving up, taking someone toxic out of your life, and then going to find or replacing them with someone else who was toxic. You just simply wouldn't do it. So don't do the same thing when you're cutting out alcohol from your life. Now, I'm going to give you loads and loads of this type of practical advice in my free training for male entrepreneurs, businessmen, and professional men in the training at stayoffbooze.com. That's stayoffbooze.com. That's the Stay Off Booze training. Thank you very much for today, and I'll see you again tomorrow when I hope to give you some more value, some more advice. If you're curious about going alcohol free, there's much more for you to discover and for me to share.